Yes, I am. Good morning, everybody. First time we've met is Division Two, I think, and other than I think the last time we met on Zoom, which was probably close to a year ago. So it's nice to see everyone this morning, and I do know that Representative Turcott is flying someplace today. I don't know if he's over the Atlantic Ocean or if he's still in Greece or if he's someplace else, but that's okay. I will also tell you that Mr. Pitkin is in Florida on business, which of course, when he called me yesterday and told me that, I said, well, we'll be facing below zero tonight, and maybe we can get up to 20 today. So anyhow, that's what's going on. And Sarah, welcome. Why don't you just come on up? We're not. I know that you have never been with Division Two before, and so we certainly welcome you. And I will say that we're very friendly, okay, and 99% of the time we get along, and I think that's one of the fun things about being on Division Two. So I will tell you that the speaker asked me if I wanted to give up my responsibility on Division Two, and I said no, I have too much fun there. So, and besides, Mickey would be lonely if I wasn't annoying him every day. So, okay. The first thing we're going to look at, and the reason Sarah's here, is HB 300. And I believe you've seen the amendment, right?
I have. And
Okay.
I also have and some additional information based on the comments of the group last session.
Yeah, could you move the mic a little?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
How's that? Is that better?
That's much better. Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. So thank you so much for having me here again. We really appreciate the discussion at the last work session. All of these questions bring up great discussion back at our office how we can better serve the citizens of the state. DES wholeheartedly agrees with the comments that I was hearing from this group during the last work session that Econ's situation is difficult and unique and warrants flexibility beyond what we've been finding in the rules and in the statutes. And for that reason, we've been working with Econ for a number of months to find a way to achieve that flexibility that's needed. It's important that DES stay within its authority as we do this, and it's important that whatever agreement we come to is documented in writing and signed off on by both Econ and DES, so in the future there is no confusion about what the agreement was. And based on our discussions with the Department of Justice, the vehicle that's available to us to come to that written agreement in an organized way is an administrative order by consent. When I was here last time, I wasn't sure how much I could talk about that because we're in negotiations right now on that. But in speaking with DOJ, they told me it's fine to talk about it here within certain limits because the administrative order by consent has been discussed also at a public meeting of Econ. So based on the advice from DOJ, I can't share the details of the negotiations or the details of what that agreement will have in it, but I'm very glad to let the committee know that we're working with Econ on an agreement with the goal of providing Econ with flexibility and reliefs in the short term in order to assure compliance in the future and to be sure that the landfill doesn't become a financial burden on the citizens of the state of New Hampshire. In order to move forward with those negotiations that began in August, we needed the updated post-closure cost estimate from Econ, and we received that just after the last work session. Our engineers are currently talking with Econ's engineers. They had a discussion yesterday afternoon along the lines of us trying to gain an understanding of where some of the numbers in the estimate come from. And we're on course to come to an agreement with Econ. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions about that and any other questions that you may have.
Sorry, please. Go ahead.
So-
Pardon me.
oops, I am.
Yeah.
So does that mean we don't need this bill and we can go forward, we can ITL this bill?
Well, we think that we can come to the very needed flexible agreement that Econ needs that'll suit both the state's needs and Econ's.
It just, if I may,
Go ahead, please, Mary.
I would always prefer not to put into legislation something related to one specific event. So it seems that this bill is unnecessary if in fact you have employed measures within your agency, within the guidelines that allow for this. Madam Chair.
Oh, no, thank
Well,
you.
maybe, you
I
never
don't,
know.
I don't want that promotion. I appreciate it.
Question for you, does that seem logical?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, please, Kate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to be broad about this, I'm not casting aspersions on anything, but I just feel the need to, put this out there. I appreciate that you can't share a lot of the details. Actually, I don't understand why you can't share a lot of details, but that's fine. I trust that you do. Apropos what Representative Heath was saying and what we have to do here, I have to ask, what level of trust do we have that you will come to an agreement? You're talking about you're in the process of doing this. What assurances, that's a good word here, do we have that you will reach this without having to go through a legislative process? And again, I don't mean any disrespect, but I just need to ask the question about how can you assure us that this will be done?
Sure. Well, it's something that we are actively working on. As I think was pointed out in the last work session, and as Econ has pointed out many times, one option that Econ has explained that they have is to dissolve and to no longer provide the support for this landfill. That is not something that anyone wants to see happen. It's not something we want to see happen at DES because of the financial liability that would bring on to the state. Recognizing that in order to come to agreement, both sides have to agree in the end. I think that we're on track to do that. We have the details of the agreement to work out. Regarding why I can't talk about the details of the negotiations, it's technically enforcement negotiations with the attorneys on both sides involved, so those discussions are confidential. I wish I could share. So I hope that answers your question.
When it's done, will we get an update of what that agreement looks like, or is that confidential too?
The agreement, when it is in place, I'm not aware that it would be confidential. That wouldn't be normal. I suppose Econ could ask for that, but I can't think of why they would, so it would be available.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for taking my question. Now, you said that the state would be responsible. Wouldn't the responsibility, let's say Econ goes out of business, would the liability go back to the 27 municipalities that have, that put that waste there? I mean, I know there's an agreement between Econ, but, it seems so the state shouldn't be, I mean, it's gonna be a fight, but.
Right. Yeah, we would need for our attorneys to look at that. There is this agreement between those communities and Econ that was put in place when Econ became the owner of the landfill. And it could take a long time to work that out. In the interim, there would still need to be care taken of the landfill. And when no one else is stepping up, when there is environmental risk presented, leachate that needs to be disposed of, that sort of thing, then if no one else is doing it, then the state would have a responsibility.
Okay. I guess that my thought process is at this point that if you follow through on this, then there's no need for this bill. Is that how people feel?
I think that's
Okay.
right.
Okay. Our exec session is on the 8th. And so we will need something by the 8th. And because if we don't know, that all you have to tell us is there's an agreement. You don't have to go into details. You just have to say, we've made the agreement, right? I mean, is that agreeable?
I don't believe that we will have an agreement in place by the 8th,
I didn't say you needed to have the agreement in place. The two parties have to agree as to what is going to go into the agreement. That's all I'm asking.
Given the availability of the parties involved, including our attorney, I'm not sure whether that would be possible. Because today's the 1st, that's 1 week from today, right? Right. Because there are a number of people who are out on vacation because it's school vacation week right now.
Tell them to come back.
If we can find them.
Okay.
Can I,
Yes, go ahead.
ask a question? You know, could I just ask, I mean, one of the things, arguably, and I don't know how everyone else feels, but arguably, it might be satisfactory if, I would think that the problem would be, let the worst case scenario, somehow you don't arrive at an agreement. And I guess if we took a vote today, let's say, to render this bill inexpedient to legislate, and then you didn't come to an agreement, obviously that could be a problem. And so I guess what I'm wondering is because then we couldn't do anything until the next legislative session. And so I guess the only question would be, let's assume you didn't come to an agreement. What's the likelihood that the state would then institute some enforcement action, within the next year?
I'm not really able to speak on behalf of the commissioner about how likely he is to institute enforcement, but our efforts have really been focused on negotiating a settlement that serves both parties' needs.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Madam Chair, thank you. Madam Speaker, I do like that, though. Would it be possible just to interim study this, and then that would give us the tools with which to work if we need to? I mean, I would prefer just to be done with this, if possible, and not have to entertain it again. But in light of the uncertainty, maybe we just need to hold on to it a little bit longer. Because we can always act on it at any point, right? Out of interim study.
Yeah. Let me ask Janet.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to be done with it.
Thank you. So would I.
I might be able to help on this.
Okay.
As far as the date, so the last day to report House bills is March 24th.
Yes,
So I think if you did an interim study, you'd still be subject to that. I don't think you could take it out of interim study after your report deadline of House bills.
okay, so I could skip the 10th deadline.
Yeah, if you didn't, if you say we took this off of exec session for the 8th, I
Uh-huh.
think we've got until, and I guess this could be a question, that the 10th deadline was bills not in a second committee. I'm
Right.
not sure if that applies to this bill because
Yeah, it
it's not
does.
subject to a second committee. But the last day to report all House bills is the 24th of March. So I don't know if this bill would be subject to that deadline.
Okay, deadlines. What is the deadline for this bill?
This is the,
1300,
oh, that's the first committee bill. That's due the 10th.
the 10th?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's why you're accepting it on the.
yeah, that's what I thought. Go ahead.
But I don't think an interim study would help in that deadline. If you reported it, you wouldn't be able to change that or pass that bill this session.
Oh, so you're thinking about interim study?
Excuse me, I should probably talk so everybody can hear. What's going on is DES and the parties are pretty close to an agreement. Okay? But they don't think that they will have the head nods prior to the 8th. Okay, so the result is that we were thinking about ITLing it if they could get back to us by the 8th, which they don't think they can do. And so we wanted some sort of way that we could kill it after the 10th or the 8th.
Kill it after the.
Yeah. Once we get them to, that both parties agree to this.
Your actual last date to report is the 10th.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Can I ask a question or two questions?
Sure.
What's the second committee? And the second question is, if we pass this with the amendment, sometimes we'll pass something, just in case, and the agreement goes through. Can we, when it goes to the full House, ask the House to ITL it because
Yes,
it's
we
already
can.
been considered?
We can do that.
And what's the second committee? Is it going to?
No, it's not going to a second
So it's not
committee.
a second committee, but the
No.
deadline's still the 10th.
Right. That's for all bills that are in our possession
For now.
that are not second committee bills.
Thank you.
Yes,
Madam Chair, because we do not intend to give them $500,000.
absolutely.
So that's our job. So maybe with that consideration, we know we're not going to give them money, and we're not a policy committee. So maybe it's
Well,
just
in-
a matter of
yeah,
saying,
but
no.
in this case, we are.
Oh, it
Because
sounds like it.
Because it affects the money.
Okay.
I mean,
Can I make one other suggestion? I don't know whether this
oh, sure.
would make sense or not, but what, could we,
I did not want this dilemma this morning.
could we adopt your proposed amendment? Recommend that as ought to pass, and then if they do come to an agreement, ask on the floor that it be tabled,
Or ITL.
or ITL, one of the
Yeah,
other.
we'd ITL it.
Right.
I'm not a big favor of tabling, by the way, in case anybody wanted to know. So the 10th, that would probably, let's see, we're we're meeting the 10th. And then the following week, I don't know if we're meeting both Wednesday and Thursday. There's, that depends on what we have. So how about another week to get back to us?
It's possible. Where I understand we are is we have had a discussion between engineers, talked about get them providing some additional information, and so the timeline for when that information would be provided is a little bit out of our hands. So so it's possible, but I can't commit to 2 weeks for sure.
One more question, Madam Chair.
Oh, listen, lots of questions.
I
No
know.
problem. Tom, did you want?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It sounds as though they need some incentive to get this agreement in our time frame. So can't we just say, well, if it's not prepared by next week, we're going to ITL this bill, or we're going to adopt this amendment, or whatever.
Representative Heath?
Mike, at our last meeting, we said we wanted to go back and look at the rules. And I think we saw that Representative Murray did do that.
Yep.
And we identified the fact that those rules were put in place after the Newport Agreement had been established. Therefore, we shouldn't be even doing this dance. This should be something that I believe, why do they need to be held to that? And they have funding to keep the landfill
What they don't have is,
500,000.
yeah, what they don't have is the 500,000.
But they can't be held to that level of funding, I thought.
At this point, they can,
right.
because that was DES's interpretation of what they needed.
Even after they had a signed agreement with all of the towns agreeing to the closure and the guidelines thereof, everybody signed off on it, and the DES signed off on it. And then another set of rules were established afterwards that all of a sudden became applicable to that situation?
That's how I understand it. That's why, how about we do this, okay? I like the idea of adopting the amendment. And if they're able to get back to us prior to whatever day it's coming up on the calendar on the floor, they let us know if they've come to an agreement, and then we will recommend ITL on the floor.
Can I ask a question just following up on that? Because we have the session on the 10th, proposed sessions on the 16th, the 17th, and the 31st. Do you have discretion about when you can ask the speaker to put something on the calendar?
I can try.
Because that gives them maybe a little bit more time, and our goal is to ITL it. And once we have confidence in the agreement, then we can have that get on the calendar for ITL. So if we can push that, if it's possible to push that back, it gives them a little more, both of them a little more breathing space. And I would like to hear that Econ is happy.
May I make one more comment? And this is really, this is, and I apologize for this. I mean, I think on the merits, I really like this amendment. I think it makes, my only concern is I thought about this just a little bit further, which kind of goes against what I said earlier, is this. If the parties are now in the process of negotiating with each other, presumably each side has their, what they like, As I understand this amendment, if we adopt this amendment, we are essentially, I think, saying that exactly what you said, which may be, my inclination is you're absolutely right. We would essentially be saying that our position, at least on this committee, is that all Econ has to do is kind of comply with what it originally agreed to. If we pass this, that could affect the negotiations, because Econ may say, why should I agree to anything else? I've got the legislature on record saying, and so that's my only concern. We are, by taking that action, we may be influencing their negotiations.
Okay, then how about this? I like the idea of interim study that allows the negotiations to go on. We've denied the 500,000, and I guess we'll see what happens. But I do think that DES and Econ are in good negotiations and are working diligently to solve the problem within the confines of the dollars that are available.
I would make that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay,
I don't know why I wanted to call you the speaker today.
only because I'm speaking.
It's just wishful thinking. I don't know. Motion's in place.
Okay. Anything else? Other than Mickey, thank you for putting this amendment together. I know it's not the first one that we have ignored, so thank you. All right. When you're ready, you can call the roll.
And so this is on HB 1300 FN. It's on the motion for interim study. Representative Petrie.
Yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Turcott is absent. Representative Bucco.
Yes?
Representative Heath.
Yes.
Representative Murray. Yes. Representative Umber.
Yes.
Vote is 6-0.
Okay. And Representative Lynn did indicate that he would write up the blurb.
I will.
Is there anyone else that wants to fight him for that? Okay. Seeing none, Sarah, thank you. And please let us know as soon as possible as to what's happening.
Absolutely. How about if I plan a time right now for an update, regardless of what the status is? What time period would be good for Division 2? I could send you an email with the update, so it would be
Yeah,
simple.
that would be just as soon as you can.
Okay,
Okay?
will do. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's our pleasure to visit with the folks from DES. Thank you. Okay, we have one other bill to get rid of today. Much easier. This is HB 1054, which was requiring an audit of the state police, and the sponsor basically said, please ITL. So could I have a motion?
So,
Okay.
second.
Thank you, thank you. Any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none. Will
On
the clerk call the roll?
motion to ITL, whoops, TL. That's, Representative Petrie.
Yes.
Representative Lynn votes yes. Representative Bucco.
Yes?
Representative Heath. Yes. Representative Murray. Yes. And Representative Umber.
Yes.
Vote is 6-0, Madam Chair.
Okay, now, is there anyone here that wants to fight Representative Mooney for writing this blurb? Okay, she said she would. I said, okay. So, that's one less we have to worry about. Okay, so we'll take care of that on the 8th. Let's see. I did want to let you know that, I don't have the calendar in my head. 10th, 11th, must be the 14th. I'm going to schedule 3 bills that morning at 10 o'clock. And then on Tuesday, 3 bills. On Tuesday, it's the education bills. And on Monday, it's the safety and PFCs, or whatever they're called. Yes.
Is this full finance, or both these days are Div 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, so that's Monday the 14th at
Right.
10, and then the 15th also.
At 10,
okay.
right. Yeah, we don't have to have public hearings because they've already had public hearings. Unless there's something that, you know, I feel there needs to be a public hearing. I don't have them.
So the dates are the 14th and the 15th?
Yeah, let me go get the bill numbers. Very valuable lady in there, okay? 1462.
This is for Monday.
This is for Monday.
Yeah.
1682 and 1547. And then for Tuesday, 1624,
Tuesday, 16.
24, 1627, and 1661. Okay, the other thing I want to say is that on the 8th at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a hearing on a non-germane amendment to 1627. And I think, Mickey, you sent that out to everybody, right?
It will be sent out. I think Janet's officially going to schedule it today, and
Okay.
then it's going to be in the next calendar, and it'll be emailed out.
Okay, and just so you know, it's, we had a discussion with DOE, and there is a way, is that the right term? A way to have the Department of Agriculture agree that we can use Medicaid data for free and reduced lunch. Okay? So that's the non-germane amendment. And, you know, I hope that the bill that it's attached to is the establishment of a position in DOE to monitor the EFAs. So I felt that that was something that we could all support, and that's why I chose this particular bill to put it on. But I'm really, really excited that DOE has been able to do that. And basically, they asked us if we would put in legislation that they had to do it. So, okay, I'm easy. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something that I know when I was at the department, we always lost so many children who we knew were eligible for these dollars, but because for whatever reason, the parents didn't get the paperwork or they didn't feel comfortable doing the paperwork, this will make a difference for food insecurity to help so many children. So thank you very much. I think it'll make a big difference based on the numbers that the DOE gave us.
Yeah. And there will still have to be the forms filled out for those children whose income, falls into that, but they do have health insurance. So those forms would still come in. But this is, to me, I think, just a wonderful thing to occur. And of course, it's going to perhaps have some financial impact in the future. But until we know what we know, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. I'm sorry, it's only half an hour that I brought you in here for such a short thing, but we will press on, and I really think that DOE got the message that we were not happy. And so they decided that they could do something different.
Madam Chair, can I ask one more question? When we were talking about the data, there was one other thing that we had talked about was the going back and looking at information over time. And it appears that they said that they didn't have the authority to do some of that. Did we provide them with that? Because it seemed like when I was at the department, we used to look at longitudinal data, but now when we were having our free and reduced lunch conversation, it seemed that they said that they weren't able to do that.
I think it was a problem they don't have the data. I don't think it's that they can't do it, but because they didn't have the information.
With I4C, they should have the data.
Pardon?
With their data system, they should have longitudinal data.
But not on free and reduced lunch. I don't, they have what they have.
In the all right.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that with moving towards getting the information from Medicaid, that it will allow them to do a lot more. Because right now, as you know, everything is by student number, and there's no cross-reference on that. So, okay. Is there anything I'm forgetting?
These
Sure.
were all Senate bills, right?
What?
All the numbers that you read off?
No, they're House bills. They're
Yeah.
second committee House bills.
Okay, thank you.
We haven't gotten any Senate bills
Okay, thank you.
yet. We'll see what happens. But I will still ask the speaker if, or Paul, if we can schedule 1300 for the 31st. And that will hopefully give us leverage, if that's the right term.
I hate to pass bills like that.
Pardon?
I hate to put into statute something like this. There's so many laws already, and it just seems when we make all these unnecessary ones, we can settle this, another way.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. By the way, if anyone is interested in listening to what's going on with the YDC bill, there's going to be another work session on that at 2 o'clock today. And if anyone is interested in dental benefits, that's at 1 o'clock, right?
Dental benefits is at 1, yes.
Yeah. So, I think on both of those, which are in Division 3, there's work that still needs to be done. But I will say this about 1677. There have been so many changes from the initial bill that it's almost like that bill doesn't exist anymore. It's been, how many times have we rewritten that? 3? 2?
I think it's significantly
Yeah, yeah. So, anyhow, it's I think it's overall a much better bill than what we started with, and so we'll see where that one goes. But we will be executing it on the 8th. Oh, the economic briefing? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I have 3 meetings at that time on Friday, so I'm not exactly sure what. Yeah. But yes, the economic briefing will be streamed. Is it 9? I thought it was 10. Well, I guess I'll go to one of my other meetings. No. Oh, the other thing is, Janet had gone out and asked if anybody was interested in sitting with Ways and Means on the marijuana bill. And the only person that came back was Robert Taberge and said that yes, he would like to. And Keith Erf told me that he would do it. Okay. I don't think he was real excited, but no one else has volunteered, so I will put the 2 of them on that committee. Because there's some things, especially the $24 million they want. So, okay. Otherwise, listen, I'm sorry that, especially Tom, that had to drive 2 hours this morning to get down here, but I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.